I'm wearing orange again, by the way. This is a different orange sweatshirt than last week or than yesterday.
I'm impressed you.
No, I had two burnt orange sweatshirts.
You did?
I don't know why.
Just different levels of burn. A little too close to the fire on that one. This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Wednesday, January 18th, and today's pod is the best one yet. It's a total T-boy.
It's a T-boy, Nicholas.
It's a T-boy, Jack. What's our first story for the best pod that you and I have ever produced?
Tinder is testing a new version of premium Tinder for $500 a month.
Jack, you just can't put a price on love.
They just did, though.
Actually, you can. Apparently, you can.
$500 a month, apparently.
You got to pay for love.
For our second story, for the first time in 60 years, China's population declined last year.
To quote George Costanza twice, they've got a double-dipping shrinkage problem.
And our third and final story is the founders of Nest Smart Thermostat. They just launched a new startup called The Mill.
Because at the bottom of every trash can is a pile of innovation.
But Yetis, before we hit that fantastic mix.
Honestly, a fantastic mix. I love this mix, Jack.
Twitter is for sale again.
The company though is not for sale, but the stuff inside the company is for sale.
Get this, Yetis. Twitter is auctioning off the physical stuff from within Twitter headquarters.
Because first, Elon downsized the company to save money.
So now he's downsizing the company to make some extra money.
So basically, Twitter is hosting a big tech garage sale. That's what's happening.
This feels like an episode of Antiques Roadshow, Silicon Valley episode.
Fiona, what's on the auction block today? What do we got?
Twitter is not selling off porcelain dolls or turn-of-the-century Victorian chairs.
No. Twitter is selling off the old desks and like the used whiteboards. Bring them out.
But also the quirky gear that makes a startup office a startup office.
Yeah, for example, Twitter is auctioning off the Twitter espresso machine or the Twitter kegerator.
Twitter is auctioning off stationary bikes that charge your phone while you pedal.
Oh, that stuff's good, but that's not great. The best stuff in the auction, that's in lot number 11.
The OG Twitter Bird light electrical display sign is for sale.
We're talking a human-sized statue of the Twitter logo. That could be yours in your living room.
Bids are starting at $5,000.
Do I got 5420?
Do I had 6,900?
Do I have 6,904.20?
Sold to the man in the Slam and Salmon sweater.
Let's hit our three stories.
15 years before this song, two boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your at list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, Match is testing a new dating app subscription that's going to cost you hundreds of dollars.
Because in great relationships, in love and in business,
This is true.
you age together.
Okay, Yetis, first of all, if you're going on a date tonight, more power to you. Wednesday night, that's a great date night. But there are a few ways to impress your date.
Order eggs.
Yeah, order eggs. Eggs are so expensive these days. Like, order an omelet at brunch and you're going to win this date.
Make it a 4-egg omelet.
Honestly, the frittata flex, that's the new thing in dating.
But 2022 was like a bad breakup year for Match Group.
It really was. The stock of Match, the powerful dating app, it fell 60% because dating app growth, it's kind of slowed down.
But yesterday, shares rebounded.
They did.
Because Hinge, one of Match Group's dating apps, is testing out a $60 a month super subscription.
I'm sorry, Jack. Can you please repeat that number? $60 a month?
$60 a month.
Carry the 1, add the 9. That is $720 a year for you to increase your odds of meeting Mr. or Miss Right.
Upgrading to Hinge Supremium is like dropping a V8 engine into the chassis of your love life.
You hear those engines? You hear those motors? You hear those pistons, man?
Now, with this subscription, you're going to have a higher chance of your profile being seen by other daters. You're going to get better recommendations and some other dating perks.
Now, Yetis, Jack and I saw that number and we were like, that's expensive. But then we saw this.
Tinder,
which is also owned by Match Group as well.
Tinder is testing an even more insane premium subscription.
Jack, what is that new premium subscription price for Tinder?
$500 a month.
$500 a month. Match just confirmed that they are offering Cupid a love cannon for $6,000 a year, people.
$500 a month is like rent.
That is like rent.
For that price, they should physically swipe you on the app.
Jack, that price should come with a built-in prenup.
Yeah, it is. What Match is actually doing here is kind of like a dating situation, actually.
Yeah, besties, the way Jack and I see this is kind of like a date because Match is trying to figure out how much money you make.
Last year, we did a story about Match Group. We noticed people are paying more on dates, and they're also paying more to date.
Right, because Match added 200,000 paying users in 2022. That was a big jump.
In a year that Netflix lost subscribers, Tinder gained subscribers. That was impressive.
And Jack, what did we say the reason was for this jump in paying subscribers for Match and Tinder and Hinge?
The most important investment of your life is your life partner. So you're going to pay to find the right one.
I mean, Yetis, you're spending $15 to watch 5 hours of Netflix. You can spend $15 a month to find the person you'll spend the rest of your life with.
So last year, Match figured out that you are willing to pay for a premium dating app. Now it wants to know how much you're willing to pay.
It is testing your willingness to pay. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our Lovebird Cupid Cannon buddies over at Match?
Match's core demographic, millennials, are aging out of the app.
Okay, Yetis, Jack and I were covering this story, and then we realized there is a fundamental problem facing Match right now.
Millennials are entering their 40s. They're growing up, and half of millennials in America are already married.
Ipso facto, Match's original core customer is literally aging out of the app, no longer eligible.
So Match isn't just pivoting to the younger Gen Z. It is also targeting the millennials it has left.
Match is now targeting your mid-30s millennials who've been dating on dating apps for years, who've been groomsmen but not the groom for years.
That specific demo doesn't want to waste time on bad dates, so they have higher motivation.
And that specific demo is more senior at work, so they've got higher income.
Combine higher motivation with higher spending power, and you get $500 a month Tinder Premium.
Yetis, customers, they don't stay the same age. So Match, it can't stay the same age either.
Match realized it needs to grow with its audience.
For our second story, for the first time in Jack's and my lifetimes, actually for the first time in 60 years, China's population is falling.
And the economic narrative on China has done a complete 180.
But Jack, before we jump to the story, what would you say the most important made in China product is right now?
Any one of the electronics that are powering this podcast?
Okay, so you'd say iPhone, you'd think bassinet, maybe some jeggings out there. Yetis, no.
No.
What is the most important made in China product right now?
It's the GDP report that we just got on Monday.
Yetis, on Monday, Chinese officials announced current data about the Chinese economy, the old GDP.
The old GDP, the size of China's economy as measured by all the goods and services produced.
And Jack, how was that GDP number for China?
GDP was flat in the fourth quarter of 2022.
The full year of 2022, growth was just 3% in China.
That is the lowest economic growth in China since 1976, if you exclude the one pandemic year of 2020.
Okay, besties, most of the world has moved on from COVID. They're not being held back by COVID.
But China's zero COVID policy has backfired.
Exactly.
Right now, China has way more infections and way more COVID deaths than it ever did at any point of the pandemic.
Now that first number, the GDP number, what do we think about that number, Jack?
That's current data. It tells us about today's economy in China right now.
But Jack, that wasn't the only number that China told us, was it?
They also announced a leading indicator about tomorrow's economy in China, and it was even worse news.
And that number was the population number.
Get this. For the first time since the 1960s, China's population shrank last year by 800,000 people.
It shrank by a lot. In 2022, there were just more deaths than there were births in China for the first time in 6 decades.
That low birth rate in China right now, it's a problem for the economy for 2 reasons.
Yeah, it's a problem because of the double dip.
First, fewer babies means fewer economic producers in the future.
But then on the other hand, also fewer babies means fewer economic consumers in the future too.
So in 20 years, China will have lots of old people, but not as many young people to feed them.
Yeah, so that low GDP number.
It's bad news for China.
But Jack, that low birth rate number?
Even worse news for China's economy.
Yeah. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over in China?
This is the biggest economic flip in memory. China has gone from inevitable to unenviable.
Yetis, for the last 3 decades, China's economy was a dragon chugging green tea caffeine, doubling every 5 years.
China's economy doubled every 5 years for the last 3 decades. It was insane economic growth.
And it showed the world that an autocratic government's control of everything could lead to prosperity.
It seemed inevitable that China would soon surpass the United States as the #1 biggest economy in the world.
Honestly, Jack, 6 months ago, China's rise still felt pretty inevitable.
But now, today, China has a non-stop COVID crisis. We don't know how it will end.
Besties, now, today, China's facing zero economic growth and a shrinking population.
Those are bad data points for today and worse data points for tomorrow.
And that is why, in a snap, China's economy has gone from inevitable to unenviable.
Now, a word about our sponsor, Robinhood.
You know, honestly, your salad, it says so much about you.
Nick, you like to blaze your own trail at the salad bar.
Yeah, I'm ordering a salad. I go off menu, man. Like a combo of kale and croutons that has never been made before.
Me? I'm not reinventing the wheel. I like to go classic.
Like if Sweet Green thinks it's a good combo, Jack's not going to change that.
Kind of like investing strategies. Some want to build a custom portfolio of stocks, crypto, and options.
Others don't want to reinvent. Just give me the most standard ETF.
Whether you're tweaking your one-of-a-kind portfolio every day or prefer a more hands-off approach, Robinhood has the tools.
If you're not investing on Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/TBoy to choose your free stock.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY. Limitations apply.
Stocks offered by Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC.
Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto.
All investments involve risk.
By the way, this podcast is not owned or part of Robinhood, and we are not employees of Robinhood.
For our third and final story, The Mill just launched this week with a sleek, tech-connected composting bin.
To succeed, it must overcome 3 fundamental forms of friction.
Okay, Yetis, Jack and I have heard this. We haven't seen the data on this, but we've heard that entrepreneurs are often more successful with their second company than their first company.
It's kind of a you got to make money to make more money situation.
It's also like you learn from your mistakes and you definitely don't want to do those the second time around.
Well, Matt Rogers and Harry Tannenbaum, they didn't learn from their mistakes. They learned from their successes because these guys were the co-founders of the smart thermostat Nest.
Yeah, basically, these guys invented the smart home, and now they've invented a smart product within that smart home.
They sold Nest to Google for $3 billion many years ago.
Not too shabby.
But they just unveiled this week their next thing, a compost bin.
They're not focusing on smart TVs. They're focusing on a smart trash can.
Do you compost? That's the question you're asking every San Francisco party.
The follow-up question is, why not?
Well, this new product is called The Mill. It's a white trash can that looks like a, 3-foot tall AirPod container.
Right, and then what's the differentiator here, Jack? Because a composting bin is not like a trash can.
Inside this product is a grinding mill with metal teeth that will grind up the food you put in.
Now, Yetis, Jack and I were fascinated with this story because we've seen tech come for like a whole bunch of home appliances.
Including the smart toilet with built-in bidet and noise-canceling everything.
But this is the first time Jack and I have seen a tech company target the trash can.
Now, every company is trying to solve a problem. The problem this company is trying to solve is when you order too much food.
Okay, you got 2 entrees, 2 appetizers just for the 2 of you. Jack, you used to work at the Olive Garden. How much food is that?
That's going to require like at least 2 or 3 doggy bags.
Yeah, that's too much food.
And I'm not boxing that up for you.
So instead of tossing those leftover, tortelloni in the trash can, you would open your mill and drop the leftovers in there instead.
This is a smart composting machine that will overnight grind that wasted tortelloni into tiny little bits and then dehydrate it during the day.
After a few weeks, when the mill is full, then you're going to box up that compost.
And then you're going to give it to the mailman who takes it back to the mill and feeds your compost to chickens.
Ipso facto, you just ordered farm-to-table food and then mill brings it back to the farm.
With an impressive feat of logistics, it just completed the circle of life.
But Jack, can we sprinkle on just a little bit more broader context here?
Fans of composting will tell you that eliminating food waste is like #1 in the playbook to limiting climate change.
Actually, fans of compost will talk to you about this for that entire San Francisco dinner party.
Because food, when you put it in the landfill, it stinks. Literally. As the food rots, it emits methane, which is a greenhouse gas, which causes global warming.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at The Mill?
If the mill succeeds, it will have defied 3 fundamental forms of friction.
Yetis, you never want friction in your product. Like, you never want to make adoption of what you're selling harder.
And yet, the mill faces 3 fundamental forms of consumer friction.
Okay, first, there's the habit friction.
The mill is asking you to add a 3rd bin in your kitchen next to the recycling and trash can. They want you to change your habits.
Oh, and then there's the cost friction.
To save the planet with this composter, you pay mill $33 a month forever.
And then there's the gross friction.
Yeah, this bin, it's designed to kill the smell of that rotting food down there, but it's still rotting food and it's in your kitchen for 3 weeks.
Now, besties, is this better than the current composting options out there?
Probably.
And do Jack and I want this new product to win?
Definitely. Composting's great.
Absolutely.
But for the mill to succeed, it must overcome 3 fundamental forms of friction.
Jack, can you whip up the takeaways for us over there?
Match Group is testing freaky expensive premium subscriptions.
Because Match's core demo, millennials, we're aging out.
For our second story, China's economic growth is 0. Its population growth is -0.
So China's economy has gone from inevitable to unenviable.
And our third and final story, 2 former nesters just launched a food grinding smart composting bin.
But its product, it faces 3 forms of fundamental friction. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by Justin Cramp down the street in San Francisco.
Yesterday, we told you how In-N-Out Burger created the most profitable burger by being contrarian.
By following the opposite of every instinct I've ever had.
Now, we listed 4 key ways it's contrarian. Jason found 4 more ways it's contrarian.
Okay, get this. In-N-Out Burger doesn't do TV ads and doesn't do celebrity endorsements. Sorry, Kylie.
And they pay their employees more. Managers make up to $160,000 a year.
Oh, also they banned heat lamps and they don't freeze their meat.
Most of those initiatives actually cost more money.
But they do fit a theme, don't they, Jack?
In-N-Out Burger may be the most contrarian fast food out there.
You don't eat the In-N-Out Burger. That burger eats you.
The milkshake, it shakes you.
Yetis, you look fantastic this week. And if you haven't yet, turn to a buddy next to you and say, hey, HYHTBOY.
Have you had the best one yet?
That's how we grow the pod. If you know, you know.
Nick and I, we'll see you tomorrow.
Can't wait. And before we go, happy birthday to legendary Yeti Brad Carrion, living in the Richmond of San Francisco, and he loves a good dinner at Pearl. Hope you're celebrating there.
Happy 32nd birthday to Christian Escobar in Dallas, Texas.
And Mark Messier up in Canada. Happy birthday, Moose.
94. It's a great year. And happy birthday to Amy Wang, who is eating airport food in San Jose, California.
And congratulations to Christian and Charlotte, 2 Yetis launching a new app called Watcha. Look out for Watcha.
And congrats to Nick Johnson, who just bought his first home in Pocahontas, Arkansas.
And Prakash and Urchana, a couple that T-Boys together, just celebrated their 10-year anniversary of that wedding down in Austin.
And congrats to Dean for getting the new job in Baltimore.
And Stephanie Probst got a new job down in San Jose.
And congratulations to Vidal Benadiba, who's celebrating 25 years at General Electric, now working for one of those GE spinoffs.
Not too shabby.
And to anyone else celebrating something today, make it a T-Boy.
Celebrate the wins.
This is Jack. I own stock of Netflix, and Nick and I both own stock of Robinhood. Now, a word about our sponsor, Robinhood.
Okay, so Jack and I both worked in finance for a while.
And we know the 6-monitor Bloomberg jockey with charts, numbers, balances, and more charts.
They got coffees in both hands while they're executing some complex trade on a soybean future.
Well, we're not trying to impress with our mission control trading center. Just give us an app, please.
Robinhood, with its mobile-first and intuitive design, it lets you trade with just a few quick taps on their app.
And even if things still don't seem easy, Robinhood has your back 24/7 with its live and robust customer support.
If you're not investing on Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/Tboy and choose your free stock.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY. Limitations apply.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. All investments involve risk.
By the way, this podcast is not owned by or part of Robinhood, and we are not employees of Robinhood. 94. It's a great year.